We are live. Welcome to College Football's Peek Around the Corner with your host, Greg Pflugar. We cover everything in college football because we love everything in college football. And if you love everything in college football, please subscribe to our channel. Smash the like button if you like our content. Share the video with your family and friends if you want to support this rebel outpost. If you want to support the home for the college football sickos with a donation to help us keep the lights on, hit that $sign where you make a comment, and I'll get you a super chat as quick as I possibly can. Welcome everybody into the studio that sits on the corner, the very corner of Keith Jackson Parkway and Kurt Gowdy Avenue. Do not be afraid. Do not be afraid to become a legend with your comments and with your phone calls. It is Thursday, September 4th. Week 2 is here, almost here. It has been a short week because week 1 was such a long week. We did our predictions against the spread yesterday. If you missed it, your votes do not count. Your votes do not count. We did it yesterday. We did it. We did 14 games. Headed into week 2, Greg the Cooler is 5-10. No. Greg the Cooler is 5-11, and the PAT Einsteins are 6-10. But we're not going to talk about that today, unless you want to talk about it in your phone calls in the second half of this live show. If you want to talk about how bad I'm doing for the 4th year in a row, go ahead. Roast me. But there's a lot of roasting of me in the chat room. I do not know why you would want to waste your phone call on roasting the re-elected mayor of Loserville City. I don't know why you would want to do that. Just roast me in the chat room and use your phone call for something else to talk about college football. But it's your decision. It is your decision. Today, I'm going to touch upon a couple of news items. Allstate and the Big 12. A commercial deal for the Big 12. We're going to talk about that in a little bit. But the main story is Matt Hayes, USA Today. We're going to go through the article. We do have a link in the description box. You can read the whole article yourself after this live show, of course. And we're going to go through it. And I'm going to give you my opinion of it. I happen to agree with what Matt Hayes is saying. That's not always the case. That's not always the case. And I'm not here to rip on anybody, but, well, Matt Hayes has been kind of flipping and flopping on this subject. And I'm going to give you my best shot on why I think that is. Pure speculation on my part. I've never talked to Matt Hayes. Matt Hayes doesn't know me from a hole in the wall. But I'm going to give you my best shot on why Matt Hayes has flipped and flopped. Matt Hayes in the USA Today lays out an argument on why the Southeastern Conference needs to add Florida State and Clemson, in no question about it, the next coming up realignment wave. I happen to agree, but for different reasons, or at least more reasons than Matt Hayes. As you all know, here at Peek Around the Corner, I upset a lot of people. I tend to do that. I give you my honest assessment on what is going on in college football. And I don't care who is happy with me on that particular day or who is upset with me. But I want to tell you, I always bring you my honest assessment. And my track record, I'm going to let it speak for itself. On June 15th of 2024, a door was opened to me a couple of days prior. So I made a big old live show and I said that the number one target for the Southeastern Conference is North Carolina and Virginia, and for the Big Ten is North Carolina and Notre Dame. I got dragged through the coals months after months after months after months. But I know that we were accurate at Peek Around the Corner. But at the same time, I said it 1,000 times. I have said it 1,000. It doesn't seem to be enough. But I have said it 1,000 times. That just because North Carolina and Virginia are the number one targets, for reasons that I've tried to explain, Florida State and Clemson are going to get where they need to get to because they're too valuable of brands, too valuable of fan bases. Florida State is an emerging research university, and Clemson is about a decade behind. But way too valuable brands not to get where they need to get to. I described on June 15th of 2024 the reality of how relationships are important in realignment. Not just the viewership number, not just the fan base, but relationships. That holds true today. Florida State's working on it. Clemson is working on it. They're all working on it. They are all working on building those relationships in the Big Ten and the Southeastern Conference. We talked about the correct blend to get into the P2. Schools are talking to each other to get the right blend to get into the Big Ten and the SEC. On March 9th of this year, I put out a prediction, not a report. Two completely different things. And most of the PATC family understands that. People outside of the family take what I say and they run with it and they're saying, Greg Pflugar is reporting. No, it was a prediction. A prediction based on a whole lot of conversations that I have enjoyed with the chatter behind the curtain, the money purchase, and everywhere else. This was not a report. Let me tell you the difference here, because I know there are new people watching this program. A report is when I reported that USC was talking to the Big Ten and it was going to happen any day. That was in spring of March of 22. A report is when we reported that the Big 12 was going to be able to poach the Pac-12. A report is when I told you all that within 5 months or within 5 years, Oregon and Washington were going to become Big Ten members. And if it was going to happen in 5 months, it had to start with Kevin Warren leaving office. Well, he left office and all the dominoes fell. Those were reports. We reported to you a hot bubble of action. Hot bubble of action was going to happen between April 28th and May 17th of 2023, because we knew there was going to be a meeting between Yormark and the president of Colorado on May 7th on a Sunday in Chicago. Those were reports. I put out a prediction, not a report. The reason why it's not a report is because nothing has been done, nothing has been settled. We're not even close. And if we are close, then I'm wrong. And I will admit that I'm wrong here. I will take the L here, peek around the corner. But we're not there yet. There is a lot of activity, and we're not there yet. But I did make a prediction. I made a prediction on April 9th of this year because a lot of people wanted me to. So I said it on this live show. I said it on X. If I had to make a prediction on April 9th of this year, I would predict that the SEC does the big scoop. The big scoop of North Carolina, Virginia, Florida State, and Clemson. Not a 2-team edition, but a 4-team edition. Now, Paul Feinbaum, and it seems like pretty much everybody who reports out of Southeastern Conference country, they keep insinuating that it's going to be a 2-school edition for the Southeastern Conference. And maybe they're going to be correct. Maybe. But I got to tell you, on April 9th, I predicted a big scoop. And if I had to do it today on September 4th, I would make the exact same prediction. I believe the Southeastern Conference is going to transform their conference again, just like when they added Oklahoma, just like when they added Texas. The Southeastern Conference presidents, they want North Carolina and Virginia. We talked about that, 20 months ago. It happens to be the truth. You may want to disagree. You may want to say, Greg, you're not correct. That's fine. Put it in the chat. Give me a call. But this is not a secret. It hasn't been a secret. Every reporter has been told the exact same thing. For good or for bad. I happen to believe, I could end up being wrong, but I happen to believe that the Southeastern Conference is going to be successful at adding a North Carolina and Virginia. I could end up being wrong. I have not closed the door on the Big Ten. I have continued to say that the Big Ten will not give up on it because they want North Carolina. But I believe that Southeastern Conference is going to be successful. There is one caveat to it, and I'm going to get to it here. I'm going to get to it before we get to the other monologues, and then we get to the big part. We go through Matt Hayes' article. But I believe the Southeastern Conference, when, according to my prediction, which could end up being wrong, when they successfully add North Carolina, Virginia, they're going to have to check off a couple more boxes. They're going to have to check off a couple more boxes when in regards to the media partner, in regards to going to a ninth conference game, in regards to making as much money when it comes to college football playoff distribution money, which Florida State and Clemson is going to help the Southeastern Conference on day one. I believe the addition of Florida State and Clemson is going to drive up value of the college football ticket. Yes, I know most of these stadiums are chock full of people that are sellouts, but adding to Florida State and Clemson only drives up the value of everything. I believe a Florida State and Clemson addition to the Southeastern Conference makes that ninth conference game work for the conference. And I believe the addition of a Florida State and Clemson makes the addition of North Carolina and Virginia work for the conference. That's what I believe. We're going to go through Matt Hayes' article. We're going to tell you, he's going to tell you in his article what he believes. He is stating today that the Southeastern Conference needs to add Florida State and Clemson. I agree. But I think it's even more reasons why they need to do it than even Matt Hayes says it. Also, I'm going to give you my best shot at why Matt Hayes flip-flopped on this. Matt Hayes, just a short while ago, I don't know how many months ago it was, not too many months ago, said the only schools that would add value to the Southeastern Conference is North Carolina and Notre Dame. I think he got that wrong. And I'm going to tell you why I think he got that wrong. But I'm just my speculation. Okay? My speculation on why he got that wrong. But we are going to go through it all. Put down your comments and thoughts. And of course, I always get to the super chats first. Boy, I tell you what, you guys are killing me already. Super chat, Heartbreak 25. I just want to help cover your losses. From your bad picks the first 2 weeks, you shut down Texas in the Arch train faster than Matt Patricia. Thank you for the $5 holla, Heartbreak 25. Thank you, sir. I do appreciate that. Look, I'm looking to turn it around in week 2. 14 games. I think 10-4 is doable. I think it is. Thank you, Heartbreak 25. Appreciate the super chat. Let's get to the roll call, guys. We've got a lot to get through today. Very interesting stuff. Matt Hayes, USA Today. Jason Roberts is in the house. Gold Dogs. George Holton, Osceola the Trucker. We got a normal handle names here in the super chat. Thank you, YouTube. Thank you for coming on in, George Holton. Chef Maul is in the house. Tom DeBay, son of Sarek, Chief Fan, Florida Man. You got our old logo, Greg. Friends call me Sean. Big Ears Bo. Tough Tony, the Gopher, is in the house. Daniel Gorby, the Knowles, is in the house. Boo. The Evil Badger, Jeff Olsen is in the house. Chief fan, Cal Bears. Hi, everyone, and go Bears. Bob Swanger. Vox, I got an update for you, Vox. I got good news and bad news. I got good news and bad news for Vox Guandaro. I have been practicing because of the incredible generosity of Vox Guandaro. Because of a massive super chat, I have said that I'm going to sing Jayhawk, the fight song for Kansas, if Kansas defeats Missouri this coming Saturday. Vox, I've been practicing. Oh yeah, I've been warming up these golden pipes of mine. Greg the Gold, of course. And I've been practicing the song. So that's the good news. The bad news is I'm not doing all that good. I'll get better. But the really bad news is, Vox, I have decided, or it's good news, one way or the other. I have decided, because just like we did with Preston from Greensboro, North Carolina, who donated to this program, and I sang Carolina in My Mind, James Taylor. I sang it before the game started. I did not wait to see if North Carolina won, beat TCU or not, and they got throttled. I sang that song anyways. I'm going to do the same thing with Jayhawk. I'm going to do the same thing, Vox, because of your incredible generosity throughout the days, weeks, and months and years. So, Vox, no matter what happens, the Kansas versus Missouri game, I am going to be singing live the Kansas Jayhawks fight song. So thank you, Vox, for the donation. I do appreciate it so very much. Deadeye Yo is in the house. Son of Sarek, Greg about to go 5-25. Greg Nelson is here. Florida Man, Greg the Gold about to come out of hiding. God. From your lips to the gold and maroon, God in the sky. Florida Man. FSU 11 is in the house. Al Woody is here. Al Woody. Morris Simmons, Gold Nose, friends call me Sean, SEC. Bill G is in the house. Becky Go Huskies, 18 is fine. The reigning, defending, undisputed PATC World Champion, World College Football Trivia Champion, Rodney Richborg is in the house. Mr. Sparty. Anthony Carlson, our names are back. Thanks for coming on in, Mr. Sparty. Gold Black 45 is in the house. The Buckeye Jared Jones is in the house. BYU Cougar and Kenneth Stromness is here. Lee Go Gators. I got a question. Is DJ Legway okay or not? Is DJ Legway, is his shoulder, is his arm, rotator cuff, I don't care what it is. Is he 90%? I need an answer. Is DJ Legway okay? Does anybody have an answer for me? Ryan Brooks is in the house. Jay Chapman, Old Army, me versus Echo Chamber. BJ is back. The Walking Geek is here. The Walking Geek, Jago Blue. MBM, the Cowboy is here. The Cowboy is here. P-Lit, where's P-Lit? They're P-Lit, Go Heels. Josh Johnson is in the house. Florida State fan here. I'm okay with the SEC, but rather rather get to the Big Ten. I can understand that. Stephen Vitt is in the house. The Ohio Bobcats, West Virginia Mountaineers. Stephen Vitt. We have been doing picks against the spread for 4 years. We put up the West Virginia Ohio Bobcats. Where did that go? We put that up there. The Einsteins, the PATC Einsteins voted on this game. This was the largest landslide in PATC Einstein history. The voters of the PATC family, 97% took West Virginia to cover. We've never had that type of blowout ever. 97%. Now, the word on that, the rumor is, Stephen Vitt, that this landslide from the PATC Einstein has gotten back to quarterback Navarro, has gotten back to the Bobcats locker room. So look out, Mountaineers. Look out. That is a bulletin board material. The PATC Einsteins gave no respect to the Bobcats. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. KST is in here. KST is in the house. Canes fan is in the house. Amazing Blue. Uh-oh. The Evil Badger. The Evil Badger on Wisconsin. On Wisconsin is in the house. Look out. Look out. Okay, who else is here? What do we got? Have I missed anybody? Anthony Mazzano, thanks for coming on in. Appreciate it. I cursed the PATC community. No, you did not. No, I'm going to improve. Look, my picks against the spread may never improve. But my voice, I just need a little bit more practice. Okay, I think I got everybody. If I did not, I do apologize. Thanks for everybody for coming on in. I appreciate it so very much. Oh boy. Super chat by Ryan Willie. Greg, if Wisconsin doesn't cover the spread versus Bama, I'll gift 10 memberships if you agree to sing on Wisconsin if they cover versus Bama. Boy, Ryan Willie, you got me in a box here because normally people donate and their team has to win. You're saying my team only has to cover. But then again, you are offering 10 gift memberships. And you have given so much to this channel. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to give you a special fat guy from Minnesota waiver. I'm going to agree with this deal. We don't know what the point we don't know what the point spread we're using. We're going to use whatever FanDuel says next Monday. Is that fair? And I'll post it next Monday. I'm going to give you the fat guy from Minnesota waiver. Consider it done. Ryan Willie, thank you for the $5 holla. Thank you for the $5 holla. Appreciate it, Evil Badger. Appreciate it. LA Horn Frog, great show, brother. A must watch. Thank you for the $2 holla, LA Horn Frog. I appreciate it so very much. Thank you, Horn Frog. You all look pretty good. And I took TCU. I took TCU. Look, the Horn Frogs in the chat room, Mick Stevens and all the Horn Frogs that come on in here, Devil Frog, LA Horn Frog, they were not scared of Greg the Cooler. They batted away Greg the Cooler. They said Greg the Cooler ain't going to stop us. I took TCU. Most fan bases would have crumbled in the PATC family in the chat room, but not the Horn Frogs. They're just made a little bit different. They just batted away Greg the Cooler. We control our own destiny. We control our own destiny. That is the motto of the Horn Frogs. A lot of you got a lot to learn from the Horn Frogs. Thank you, LA Horn Frog. I appreciate it so very much. Super chat, Bill G. Bill G, thanks once again. Thank you for all your generosity. Have a drink wits on me. Rock, shot. Wow. Look, I'm going to take Missouri. I did take Missouri. We've already, I'm sorry, Jayhawks, but, we've got Jalen Daniels. We've got Jalen Daniels in the PATC Heisman watch list going into week 2. We've got that. We're giving the Jayhawks respect. Look at that. Jalen Daniels is number 5 on the PATC Heisman watch list. But you all know how I feel about Missouri Tigers this year, 2025. Bo Pibula was going to be the shocker of the college football season. I've got Missouri finishing 4th, right? I put them down at number 4. I've got them in the playoffs at the 11th seed. So Missouri is going to prove their mettle. They're going to get it done, and they're going to beat Kansas by, about 10 points. 10 points. Sorry, Jayhawk fans. All right. Thank you for the super chat. Appreciate it, Bill G. Appreciate it very much. Anthony Mazzano. I cannot possibly go through all the comments at the beginning of the show or any other part of the show. I try to, but I go through the super chats and then I go through some other comments. I can't possibly read all of them or I never will get to my monologue. I'm just letting you know. I'll take a look, but I'm not going to be able to answer. Greg, how likely do you think college football decides to fix how they determine the preseason rankings? Instead of doing it by talent returning, they do it by previous season performance. I don't think they're even concerned. They're going to have polls. They're always going to have preseason polls. It's the AP voters. And each voter is going to have their own criteria on how they vote. So there is nothing really to fix. The metrics, if you're talking about the metrics, a lot of these metrics use recruiting rankings. And that has a large impact on what type of power rankings these teams get in their metrics. Those metrics, I wish the playoff committee would not use. But anyways, I hope that answers your question. When it comes to the polls, they're not going to change. They're just going to keep happening. And every voter has their own reason to do it their way. Yes. Breaking news. Ryan Brooks Down South, NCAA from Saturday down south, and by everybody else on 3. NCAA committee votes to limit the college football transfer portal to one window, and that is a January window. January window. So, how does that look? How does that look? Like, the transfer portal is going to be open during the playoffs. How does it work? Somebody explain it to me. It was breaking news a little bit before we came on live. I have not really read the details of it. Hopefully we'll get back into it later on in this program. Mr. Monkey says, Greg, thank you. All of a sudden, I feel great about the Jayhawk chances. Son of Sarek is now picking Kansas. Greg, that makes no sense. Depending on what time they have it in January, it would make sense. I don't know the full details of it. Northwestern president's going to resign. Yep. Okay, let's get to it, guys. We got a lot to get to, and we've got that big Matt Hayes article that I want to get through. So I will read your super chats, I will read your memberships, and we will get to the phone calls as soon as possible. The Sports Business Journal, Ben Portnoy, sources, the Big 12 and Allstate agree to a sponsorship deal. The Big 12 is set to unveil a multi-year sponsorship agreement with Allstate, sources told Sports Business Journal. Exact terms of the deal were not immediately available. However, the agreement is believed to be one of the 2 most significant commercial deals in conference history. The other being that partnership with PayPal announced in June. An official announcement related to the deal is expected on Thursday. The agreement between the Big 12 and Allstate is set to include the creation of an Allstate Championship Series, a year-round collaboration between the league and the company that will see points awarded to member institutions based on performance in conference championships, graduation rates, academic and student services, and community engagement. The school that accrues the most points will subsequently be awarded the All-State Commissioner Cup. All-State, too, will become the presenting sponsor of all Big 12 Olympic sports championships and receive integration across the league's football and men's and women's basketball championships. The partnership also includes digital and in-venue branding at Big 12 championships, original storytelling content, and designating Allstate as the official insurance partner of the Big 12 Conference, related to home, auto, and property insurance. That the Big 12 and Allstate came together for a deal of significance has been in the months in the making. The 2 parties had previously been engaged in discussions around conference naming rights as far back as last summer, though those conversations have been paused since, in the time since. So, we've got another big commercial agreement between the Big 12 and a corporation. This time it's Allstate. I do not know. I have not seen a report of how much money this is going to be for the Big 12. There's going to be the All-State Commissioner Cup, where they're going to have, it's like the Directors Cup. They're going to get, all the Big 12 programs are going to get points depending on how they do across all these sponsored Big 12 sponsored sports. And then you're also going to have academics put into that. So we don't know the money value, but it sounds like it's a pretty big one for the Big 12. And Allstate is going to be the primary sponsor when it comes to the Big 12 Olympic Sports Conference championships, like the Big 12 baseball championship tournament, the basketball, Big 12 Allstate. The Allstate insurance company is going to be the primary sponsor for those events. And another big news is on all this is in this agreement between the Big 12 and Allstate does not include conference naming rights. That's not part of this deal. If they do strike a deal, if Yormark and the Allstate do strike a deal, it's going to be a separate deal, and we might be seeing the Allstate Conference, Big 12 Allstate Conference. I don't know how they would name it, but it would be a branding change for the Big 12. And right now, that is not reality. Well, we're going to find out what happens in the future, but that is not part of the deal. Okay. One more thing here. Ross Dellinger has reported on NIL statistics. The College Sports Commission has released its first batch of full data revealing that 8,359 deals worth $79.8 million were cleared from its inception in June through August. 332 submitted deals not cleared. 75 of them resubmitted and 0 have gone to arbitration. Ross Dellinger also reports the most of the deals not cleared or those under review are for 3 main reasons per the College Sports Commission: delay in providing required info, contradictory contract terms or input submission mistakes, and not satisfying valid business purpose. So there it is. Now, there has been 2 groups that are putting out information today. You've got the College Sports Commission putting out the information they want to put out, and then you've got some collectives that are putting out information that says, well, Deloitte Clearinghouse is not working fast enough. We've got a whole bunch of deals, submitted deals that is all backed up. So we got 2 different versions of the same story. We'll continue to watch over that. Now, let's get to the main story of today. Again, thank you all for joining us. If you haven't done it yet, if you're new to the channel, please subscribe. Smash the like button if you like our content. Share the video with your family and friends. Matt Hayes, USA Today Network. Today. No time to stand still. The Southeastern Conference needs Florida State and Clemson to close the gap with the Big Ten. Let me take you back to 2024, an off season of discontent in the ACC. Florida State and Clemson so desperately wanted out of the cash-strapped conference, they were willing to pay nearly $500 million to do it if they could just find any takers. And by the way, they probably were ready to negotiate that money, right? We know that Clemson, according to the documents in their court case against the ACC, Clemson was willing to negotiate. It sounded like the ACC possibly were willing to negotiate. But remember this. Even if Florida State had a taker, even if Clemson had a taker, and even if they were able to write a big old check because they knew they had a taker, the SEC or the Big Ten, the ACC did not have to accept that check. They could have still said no. But because of the massive victory in the courts by the Seminoles and the Tigers, not only do they have a substantially less exit fee to get out of the conference if they have a taker, but the ACC has to accept the check. And Florida State and Clemson and any other ACC school that leaves, they will have control, they will have ownership over their own media rights the day the check clears, the day that the July 1st of whatever calendar year is after the year that they did a withdrawal notice and they paid the check. So there's some massive victory in the courts for Florida State Clemson. Hello, Greg Sankey. Clemson and Florida State on line one. It's your move again. What Florida State did to Southeastern Conference heavyweight Alabama last weekend, and what Clemson nearly did to LSU should make clear what was obvious all along. To Sankey, the most powerful man in college sports, and the SEC commissioner, and anyone else in earshot. Florida State and Clemson are SEC schools. They look the part. They play the part. Everything they do screams Southeastern Conference big boy football. Nearly 16 months ago, the Southeastern Conference turned up its nose at the duo. They did not turn up their nose at, well, I'll get back to it at the end of the article. The last thing it needed was to be blamed again for the contraction, not expansion of the sports elites. I think when I read this Matt Hayes article, and again, this is my opinion on this. Matt Hayes uses the words contraction when I think you really should be using the word consolidation. That's my take on it. But all that is water rushing down the mighty Mississippi now and directly into the sea of reality after this summer's legal settlement between the ACC, Florida State, and Clemson. The ACC football heavyweights are leaving the conference on the negotiated date of after the 2030 season or sooner. And we're going to get in. I have a different take than about 90% of the college football reporters that chatter behind the curtain. There is one ingredient that is going to be impactful on the timing of when a Florida State and Clemson leaves, on when North Carolina, Virginia leaves, and whatever else happens. There's one important ingredient beyond the future college football playoff format and beyond a whole bunch of other variables out there. There is one massive, important ingredient that none of these college football reporters, God bless them, none of them want to talk about. So I have to talk about it. The one important, massive ingredient to the timing of all this is politics. Sorry to have to bring it up, but it's impactful. It's politics. And because that's an important factor in this, and I will explain once again after we get done with the Matt Hayes article. I happen to believe, and I could end up being wrong, but I happen to believe that the timing of this is going to happen sooner than later, sooner than 2030, sooner than 2020, sooner than 2028. And we'll get into it once again. But none of these reporters are touching it. I'm going to have to do it again. Because if you want to know the landscape, you've got to have boots on the ground. We have the boots on the ground. There is one really important And the Southeastern Conference is completely aware of it because they're the ones that are kind of controlling the ground on this. But anyway, we'll get into it. Hold on. If you are the SEC, why not get ahead of the curve and make the move before something funky happens? Because when has something funky not happened in college football contraction? Again, I wish he used the word consolidation. It's consolidation. The Big East died. The Pac-12 died. It's still dead no matter what the Mountain West deserters think. The Big 12 became the American Conference. And the American became the Conference USA. And Conference USA became championship subdivision football. California, and by the way, I completely disagree with that. So I don't agree with everything Matt Hayes. I rarely ever do agree with any. The Big 12 did not become the American Conference because the American Conference would not have playoff distribution rights that are at least 50% of the Big 10 and the SEC. The Big 12 is not the American Conference. That is in almost every. That's not accurate. California and Stanford now play in the ACC, and SMU paid $200 million to join the ACC, and dang near won the league out of the gate. But nothing says contraction, consolidation. Quite like the 2,800 miles between the Big Ten rivals, Washington and Rutgers. So if you're Sankey, you pick up the phone when the Clemson and Florida State presidents call again, because at some point they will, and reply with one simple yet resounding plan of action. The Tigers and the Seminoles pay all the exit fees and leave no monetary or legal strings attached to the ACC, and they're welcome in the SEC. Okay. I disagree with this. Guys, I got to give you my opinion. That's what this show is about. You give me your opinion. I disagree with this. The Tigers and the Seminoles probably won't pay all their exit fees. In fact, I think the SEC is going to have to... look, you can't... When the SEC is dealing with these institutions, and when the Big Ten is dealing with these institutions, you're not doing it in a vacuum. You're just not. So, I think the SEC will probably, the SEC helped out Oklahoma and Texas on the margins. The Big Ten has helped the Big Ten gave a whole lot to USC, UCLA. Rutgers and Maryland got loans. I very much doubt that the Tigers and the Seminoles are going to pay all their exit fees. There's going to be something there that is going to be a carrot to those programs. I could be wrong. Because the narrative that Florida State and Clemson don't bring value to the Southeastern Conference has always been a strong man argument. Well, Matt Hayes, we'll save what you said here a little bit later in the show. But you said something, well, we'll get to it. No one believes a team that has played in 7 of the 11 college football playoffs and won 2 by beating, Alabama, don't bring value to the SEC. No one believes Florida State, one of the top television properties in college sports, even during the 2-10 season, doesn't add value to the Southeastern Conference. If ESPN paid pro rata for Texas and Oklahoma to join the SEC, they'll certainly pay the same for Clemson and Florida State. I'm going to give Sankey and the Southeastern Conference presidents a pass on the don't bring value nonsense because they didn't want to take a blowtorch to the ACC like the Big Ten did to the Pac-12. They're lovers, everyone, not fighters. For whatever reason, Matt Hayes believes that the SEC has turned their noses up at Florida State and Clemson, in that they did a pass on them. And none of that has happened. None of that has happened. When did not in modern times, not during this time. Florida State and Clemson won a smashing victory in the courts. The SEC has not turned their noses up at it. There's no pass to give the Southeastern. The Southeastern Conference, their number one targets are North Carolina and Virginia. But I've tried to explain this 1,000 times. It doesn't mean they're not interested in Florida State and Clemson. It doesn't mean they don't see them as having value or bringing more value to the country. That's completely not true. Two of those things can be true at the same time, and by the way, they are. I don't know what Matt Hayes is. I don't know what he's talking about here. Look, I was honest. I was honest when I told you all that there was no deal made. The Southeastern Conference did not have any deals made. The Big Ten did not have a deal made with Florida State. There was no wink, wink. There was no nod, nod. There wasn't no deals. There wasn't first party talks. They couldn't do them. Since the settlement, there's a lot of talks going on. Since the settlement, the SEC, by the way, the Southeastern Conference is a pretty large damn conference. It's 16 members, for God's sakes. These 16 members have different interests. The Big Ten, they're not aligned. They're not completely aligned on what they want to do next. Nothing is done. Nothing is settled. Nobody has turned their noses to Florida State and Clemson. It just hasn't happened yet. And there's a lot of reasons why it hasn't happened yet. It doesn't have to do with the SEC saying, well, they don't bring enough value. Nobody said that. Well, maybe a Paul Feinbaum, but it's just, you don't have to give Sankey a pass, the president's a pass, unless you believe. Now, if you are one who believes that the Southeastern presidents should have Florida State and Clemson as their top two targets, okay. I can buy that. But the SEC has not said no to them here in this modern times. It just hasn't happened. No doors are closed. Nothing is settled. Nothing has been done. And of course, Matt Hayes takes a shot at the Big Ten. Oh. I mean, we'll get back into that later. Look, Matt Hayes says, look, the 16 SEC presidents know the Seminoles and the Tigers would be mega athletic and financial additions to the conference. And by the way, this is completely opposite of what Matt Hayes said. We'll get to it. So the guy has flip-flopped. I don't know if the guy even knows he has flip-flopped. I believe I'm going to give you my best shot on why. I'm going to give you my best explanation on it. We'll get to it. Matt Hayes, look, the 16 SEC presidents know the Seminoles and the Tigers would be mega athletic and financial additions to the conference on the level of Texas and Oklahoma. And truth be told, the Southeastern Conference needs them in the football-driven world of college sports. The bully on the block hasn't won a national title since 23 and was knocked to its knees in Tallahassee and Columbus and nearly in Clemson to begin this season. Alabama has officially lost its mojo. LSU has lost its voodoo since 2019. I don't know quite what that means. Texas has temporarily lost its inheritance. Georgia has been very un-Georgia the last two seasons. The next time Florida, Texas A&M Ole Miss, Tennessee, Oklahoma win a game of significance will be the first time in years. Look, the SEC, come on. The SEC is just fine. Holy smokes, Matt Hayes. I get it. The Big Ten has won the last 2 national championships. The Big Ten has closed the gap, but I think this was a little bit too much in the argument. I know, Matt Hayes, USA Today, I know this is difficult for the good folks at the SEC offices in Birmingham, Alabama to hear. But the Big Ten has put space between itself and the SEC on the field and as a revenue generating entity. That was LSU coach Brian Kelly in May during the SEC spring meeting, saying it loud and proud for all to hear. The SEC needs to play more non-conference games against the Big Ten. They're champions now, Kelly said. We have to go beat them. More than anything, the Southeastern Conference must be proactive and continue to reinvent. Because what's elite one season could very easily be the Mississippi State the next. You think Kirby Smart, the game's best coach, can continue to go 200 miles per hour a day, be season after season at Georgia, every single practice, meeting, game, recruiting visit? No one works harder than him, period, Matt Hayes says. I don't think I need to remind everyone what Georgia was before Smart. It went 4 decades between national titles. You want crazy? Florida hasn't won an SEC championship since 2008. Tennessee since 1998. Point being, why limit yourself to what you have when there's an opportunity to make it better and stay inside your geographical footprint? For all we know, Clemson could lose coach Dabo Swinney and return to the days of Tommy West, or Florida State could become Willie Taggart's Seminoles, or they could enter the league and do exactly what Texas did. Play for the conference championship in their inaugural season. Sankey has never been one to stand still and is always looking to make the SEC better and stronger. His first expansion move, Texas and Oklahoma, was a no-brainer and came crawling to his door. Florida State and Clemson will do the same. It's only a matter of taking a call and providing parameters, because what's elite one season could very easily be Mississippi State the next. That is the article from today from Matt Hayes, saying that the Southeastern Conference needs to add Florida State and Clemson. His reasoning was, look at what has happened to the Southeastern Conference. They haven't won the last 2 national titles. Look at some of the teams are down. Look at Alabama. And while me and Matt Hayes get to the same point, we take different roads to get there. Florida State and Clemson, I think, are needed. I think they're going to be added, even if the Southeastern Conference was still humming along, even if they won the last 2 national championships, because of the value they bring with the great football brands, fan bases, and everything else that I've talked about. But this is what Matt Hayes said. This is what Matt Hayes said a few months ago, last year. That's problem number 1 for Florida State. Problem number 2 is just as difficult. What conference is adding Florida State? The Southeastern Conference and the Big Ten aren't inviting any school from any conference unless they're free and clear from the previous conference. True. And Florida State isn't exactly a fit for either conference. If the Southeastern Conference expands It will only be for value. Multiple SEC sources told Saturday Down South that there are 2 schools remaining that add value: Notre Dame and North Carolina. This is what Matt Hayes said. This is what Matt Hayes said. Now, as I explained on June 15th of 2024, I believe I'm gonna give you my best shot on where Matt Hayes went wrong on. As I expressed on June 15th, 2024, Notre Dame and North Carolina were the top targets for the Big Ten. In North Carolina, +1, which is going to be probably Virginia, were the number 1 targets for the SEC. Every single reporter worth their salt who has any communication to anybody in the Southeastern Conference, anybody in Birmingham, they were told this. They were not told the only schools that bring value to the Southeastern Conference are Notre Dame. Nah. That has never been the message coming out of Birmingham. So when Matt Hayes wrote this article, in my strongly held opinion, he got it wrong. He got it wrong. There's a difference between, and I have tried to make this clear, and I think most people get it now. There's a difference between saying these are the president's top targets and saying these are the only schools that bring value. Those are 2 completely different things. So, of course, Florida State and Clemson brings value to the Southeastern Conference. Of course they do. Here's the thing. I'm going to get to the brass tacks of this. I'm going to bring up the politics in this. And some of you are going to be sensitive to this. And I'm not ripping on Republicans. I'm not ripping on Democrats. I'm not praising Republicans. I'm not praising Democrats. I am just bringing up the reality. I'm not going to, it's not a negative or a positive. I'm just giving you what is going on. Boots on the ground, what is going on. We at PATC believe, we've been saying this for 20 months. Brett McMurphy just said it again a couple weeks ago, whatever. Everybody, Pete Thamel, Ross Dellinger, they've all said the same thing. We were told this. A door was open to us. The Southeastern Conference wants North Carolina and Virginia. So hang with me here. I believe, I could end up being wrong, but I believe the Southeastern Conference are going to get them. I could end up being wrong, but I think they're going to get them. And because they're going to get them, I believe they need Florida State and Clemson. They want them. And they need them. So I think the Southeastern Conference is going to do a big scoop. For all the reasons I've said. But this is the difference between what I believe and what most of the college football reporters believe. Okay? It's on the timing of it. Most college football reporters, and they could end up being right, they believe that the Southeastern Conference, and we'll just focus on the Southeastern Conference. I do a lot of live shows that just focus on the Big Ten. I believe the Southeastern Conference is going to act before 2030, before 2029, and probably before 2028. Most likely. Even though the Southeastern Conference does not officially renegotiate their media contract with ESPN until 2032-33, leading up to the end of their current contract in 2034. It is true that most conference expansions happen near the end of a current media contract. The reason that is, and we've tried to explain this, the reason that is because later on in the media contract, the more leverage the presidents have. Earlier in the media contract, when a conference wants to expand, the media partners have the huge leverage. One example is what happened to Oregon and Washington, coming in at half freight. So because the advantage goes to the presidents late in the media contract, that is why most expansions don't happen until right near the end of the current media contract. So these reporters, and I don't blame them, and I don't blame anybody in the chat room, and I don't blame anybody disagreeing with me, by the way. Go ahead. But they're using this as, well, it's probably going to happen closer to 2030 than 2027. The next Southeastern Conference expansion and the Big Ten. Because the presidents are going to wait until they got more of a leverage. This is where I think they're wrong. I'm going to tell you why I think. It ain't just me who is saying this, who believes this, but it is me, just me, not really caring what people think about me. I'm going to tell you what we believe at Peek Around the Corner. I have no strings attached. Every time I get dragged over the coals, we end up being accurate anyways. So I'm going to tell you guys this. We at Peek Around the Corner truly believe that the Southeastern Conference is going to be successful in getting North Carolina and Virginia. We believe they're going to be successful. How do they do this? How do they become successful? Right now, if you look at the Board of Governors, North Carolina Board of Governors, who control the power for conference affiliation, they can initiate it, they can approve it. The Board of Regents at UNC Chapel Hill has no power. It's the Board of Governors. If you look at the Board of Governors right now, it is more pro UNC than it has been. This is what's being told to me by people at UNC. Like, there isn't the obstacles really in the Board of Governors like it was just 18 months ago when we first started reporting on this. Remember, the Board of Governors changed. Remember, people are coming in, people are coming on board, people are coming off board when it comes to the Board of Governors. Right now, it's a sweet spot for the University of North Carolina to get support within the Board of Governors to separate themselves from North Carolina State and whatever. But more importantly, when it comes to the timing of the Southeastern Conference expansion is Virginia. I know a lot of you don't believe that Virginia is a part of this. You look at Virginia's football brand and all that stuff, viewership numbers. But again, I got to tell you what we believe here at Peek Around the Corner. The Southeastern Conference presidents want Virginia. North Carolina wants Virginia. Virginia and North Carolina, they have so much history together. They talk about this stuff together, but also they give each other political coverage. When North Carolina decides to join the SEC, and if it's with Virginia, the addition of Virginia gives the faction within UNC the political coverage to go to the Southeastern Conference. Something that the Maryland leadership did not have when they joined the Big Ten. Okay, so a lot of you don't think that the Southeastern Conference is interested in Virginia. All I can go by is what I have been told for the last 20 months. The Southeastern Conference presidents want them. And I'm not going to go through the reasons why again today, okay? So to get Virginia, what does the Southeastern Conference need to do to get Virginia? What do they need to do? What do they need to do to secure the political coverage, the partnership of a North Carolina, Virginia going to the Southeastern Conference? What does the Southeastern Conference need to do? We believe at Peek Around the Corner, what they need to do is act pretty quickly. The Board of Visitors at the University of Virginia, they control the power of conference affiliation. Mostly. The Board of Visitors are the people who have been put into the Board of Visitors are pro SEC. The current governor of Virginia has put people in position that would be pro SEC if the Southeastern Conference pulls the trigger. Members are leaving and joining the Board of Visitors every 6 months or whatever. A handful of them leave, a handful of them join. Right now, it's peak SEC interest in the Board of Visitors at UVA. However, it is most likely, this is college football's Peek Around the Corner. This is not political crystal ball. I don't have a crystal ball. But it is most likely that the governorship of the state of Virginia is going to change from one party to the next. And the next party that's going to have the governorship is the Democrats. And that Democratic governor is probably, most likely, undoubtedly, going to call their own people to go join the Board of Visitors. The Board of Visitors is going to change at UVA. Most likely. Politics does matter, especially at the University of Virginia. For the University of Virginia to join the SEC, there is a window of time. Political cover within the university and political cover by having North Carolina go with them. So if the Southeastern Conference is totally committed to the North Carolina, Virginia edition, they are going to do it 2027 or before. The sweet spot is in the next 16 to 18 months. A little bit less than that. I know that was a long road to get where I finally got to. But that's why I disagree with most of the timing article when they talk about the timing of this. The Southeastern Conference presidents, people inside the state of Virginia who want this Virginia to join the Southeastern Conference, They have the upper hand right now. The Southeastern Conference has the upper hand right now. The Southeastern Conference has the upper hand in Chapel Hill right now. In North Carolina, SEC just decided to go to 9 conference games. And I'm sorry, Matt Hayes. I'm sorry, Reese Davis. I'm sorry to all the college football reporters out there. It hasn't just been the Big Ten who's been kicking around the so-called absurd, massive expansion of the college football playoff format of 24 to 28 to 32 teams. It's been the Southeastern Conference as well. And the reason why they're doing that is because their conference, the Southeastern Conference, is going to go through a massive transformation change. It's going to be, I believe, it's going to be big. And that's why I think all the stars are aligning for a Southeastern Conference big scoop. A North Carolina, Virginia, Clemson, and Florida State. The further down the calendar, if the calendar goes, let me put it this way. If we are sitting here on June 2nd, 2027, June 2nd, 2027, and nobody in the ACC has filed their notice of withdrawal, because remember the new grant of rights, the new bylaws that were written in the ACC, you have to do your notice of withdrawal on or before June 1st of a calendar year to go to the new conference July 1st of the following calendar year. So if nobody has filed a notice of withdrawal on or before June 1st of 2027, if we're sitting here on June 6th, June 2nd of 2027, and nobody has filed a notice of withdrawal, then what I think the Southeastern Conference is going to do probably isn't going to happen. Because they're going to be moving out of their window, their political window, to be able to get done what they want to get done. I agree. I'm going to finish this up here. And then I'm going to go to your super chats. I'm going to go to your phone calls. I believe Matt Hayes is correct. I think he went about it. I think he flip-flopped into the correct position. I think there's a lot more reasons why the Southeastern Conference needs a Florida State and Clemson beyond what Matt Hayes said in his article. But I agree with Matt Hayes. The Southeastern Conference needs Florida State and Clemson, and I think they need them not just for their incredible football brands, not just because of their incredible football fan bases, not just because the Southeastern Conference is looking to push their content internationally, and that Florida State and Clemson, those great football brands, are going to help that. Not only because of all those reasons. It's because the Southeastern Conference presidents want North Carolina and Virginia. So that's why I think the big scoop is going to happen. And I think some notice of withdrawals are going to be filed on or before June 1st of 2027. Let me know what you think. Let me know what you think of the Matt Hayes article. Let me know what you agree or disagree with. But let me go to these super chats. Very kind super chats here. Very much appreciate it. Buckeye Craig is in the house. Go Buckeyes. No Big Ten expansion without Miami or Florida State. This makes perfect sense for the Big Ten. And I think it would be incredibly dynamic if Miami and Florida State both went to the Big Ten. And I think the Southeastern Conference and the ESPN knows that. And I don't think they're going to let that happen. And I think the Big Ten probably won't be able to pull that off. But we shall see. If they do, holy smokes. Holy smokes. And I think, and I've said it from the beginning, I think that blend will work with the Big Ten presidents. But we shall see. A lot of people agree with you, Buckeye Greg. A lot of people agree with you. I just don't happen to see. That's not part of my prediction, and I've given the reasons why. But Buckeye Greg, I appreciate your super chat. I appreciate your $5 holler. Ricky Tungate, super chat. Holy smokes. The Hoosiers left a lot of points on the field. Yeah, they did. They went to the red zone a bunch of times. I get it. I would not worry about it, though. I would not worry about it. First game, preseason game, really. I'm not going to worry about a Hoosier, but I know you're closer to it, though, right? You are a Hoosier. Indiana Hoosiers. Mascot, the Bison. Appreciate the $5 holler, Tungate. I don't think it's panic time. I do not think it's panic time. Here comes Kerry. Goal. Nose. By the way, Greg, even Vegas has coolers that used to heck gamblers. These are people with bad luck used to put the chill on winners. Yeah, well, that is why my friends do not want me sitting next to them at the blackjack table. They don't want me sitting next to them at the Vegas sports books. I am not allowed anywhere near my friends, to be honest with you. I have to drink my Bloody Mary completely separate, chairs between myself and my friends. I'm treated as the cooler, not just inside the PATC family. No. Nope. This has been going on forever. Thank you, Kerry Goldnose. I should be able to get a job. I should be able to get a job at Vegas if the little general wanted to move out there, to be the cooler of the gambling establishment. Thank you, Kerry Goldnose. I do appreciate it so very much. Super chat, Christopher Hooter. Due respect to Matt Hayes, Oklahoma and Texas bring more value to the SEC than Florida State and Clemson. First, 14 to 16 teams is different than 16 to 18. Second, Oklahoma and Texas are bigger brands. With everything being equal, I do agree with you. But I've also said that the big scoop of North Carolina, Virginia, Florida State, and Clemson would even surpass the additions of Texas and Oklahoma. And that is not a shot at Texas and Oklahoma. Because what the addition of North Carolina and Virginia does, especially at this time, helps with the student apocalypse. It enlarges the media footprint. It helps with international students. And of course, the additions of Florida State and Clemson, which, by the way, are in fast-growing population centers as well. I agree with you, Christopher Hooter. Grayson Ganoush. Maryland and Rutgers were getting half share of conference distribution since they joined till 2 physical years ago. not entirely correct. They've got half shares, but they also got Big Ten loans, and part of the Big Ten loans have been getting paid back through the Big Ten distribution. So they've been getting more money from the Big Ten than just half shares. They just have not been receiving it all because some of that's been getting kicked back to the Big Ten. So, let's just say this. Maryland and Rutgers are in a lot better economic shape today than they would be if they would not have joined the Big Ten. USC and UCLA did not have to take half shares. In fact, USC and UCLA were the only two Big Ten teams that did not have to buy in to the Big Ten network. Every other Big Ten school up to that point had their Big Ten revenue, the Big Ten network revenue, taken from them to pay off what Fox did, because Fox was the sugar daddy to build the Big Ten network. Every Big Ten school had to give up their share for the first 4 or 5 years, and USC and UCLA did not have to do that. By the way, in my reporting in the from March 22 on to June 30th, at the day that it happened, I talked about that. I talked about USC having leverage. I talked about USC becoming a fully invested Big Ten member because that's what we were told and that's what we reported. Penn State did have to take a partial share for the Big Ten. Everybody did. The Big Ten network, we all took a partial. Now, if you're talking tier 1, no, the Big Ten did not have to take did not have to. But when it came to the Big Ten network payouts, Penn State did. Okay, let's open up the phone lines. Talk about anything college football that your heart desires. 763-260-1333. 763-260-1333. Matt Hayes, the USA Today, says the SEC needs Clemson and Florida State.
Call from
Simmons.
I did not get the name.
Morris Simmons.
Morris Simmons, thanks for calling, sir. I do appreciate it. The floor is yours, Mr. Seminole.
Okay. Greg, I want to say this. Florida State do bring value. I don't know what Matt Hayes was talking about in his article. That article to me seemed like a clown article. But one thing I would say is just time is of the essence. And I would be shocked and surprised that Florida State do not make an announcement by June 1st of 2026. I'll really be surprised. Going to what conference? Both conferences are talking to Florida State. But when I first started watching your show, I was all about the Big Ten. But right now, I'm starting to lean to the SEC because you brought up the argument of the SEC grabbing USC, Virginia. Them are two new states for the SEC.
Yep.
First and foremost.
Yep.
And number two, to grease, like use your phrase, to grease the skids, FSU and Clemson will grease the skids and bring value to the conference, to the SEC. And besides, I don't know how many people watched the Alabama-Florida State game. That atmosphere, that energy in that stadium remind me of the days of when Bobby Bowden was there coaching.
Yes, sir.
And I'm not saying that we wouldn't get that with a a Big Ten school because we used to play Michigan. We played Ohio State. We played Penn State with Joe Paterno. So I'm quite sure there'll be good games, but right now I'm kind of disappointed because I don't see no movement from the Big Ten. When you have a school that is jumping through hoops and everything to get to the Big Ten, Florida State is doing all that they can to show the Big Ten we're interested. But on the other hand, I'm looking for some type of movement, some type of indication. Hey, we interested. Something right now. It's like crickets. I'm not saying that it's nothing going on behind the scenes, because I'm quite sure there's a lot of communication going on behind the scenes between both conferences.
And between schools.
Right, between schools.
Yeah.
Because from what I'm hearing is Michigan, Ohio State, Penn State, it's a thumbs up. So I guess if we get the other schools to line up, and plus we also got thumb up for Fox. So it's just merely waiting to see timing. And like I say, timing is of the essence. And one other thing that the SEC got over the Big Ten is the pro rata.
Yeah,
so if that pro rata, and let's say, they might offer us the store and everything else to come on into the SEC.
Yeah.
But I think the school want to go to the Big Ten. The school do.
Yep.
The fan base is split. And they may want to go to stay in the SEC, and like somebody posted up here in the comment, Southern Pride. Let's keep everything in the South.
Yep.
And Big Ten needs to start making some moves, because if that do pick up, that's where we're going to go to the SEC.
Yep, I agree with you.
All right.
You got it, Mr. Simmons.
All right.
Beautiful call, sir. I agree. I agree. One of the beautiful call, Mr. Simmons. Thank you, Morris. We talked about what has to happen before conferences start pulling the trigger. Well, we needed the House v. NCAA settlement to happen, right? So that happened. What really needs to happen is to figure out the future of the college football playoff format. That needs to happen, because that has a large bearing on what these conferences are willing to pull the trigger on.
From
Evil Badger.
Evil Badger, Ryan Willie. Can you wait for just a moment, please?
Yes.
I appreciate it. So, I understand what Morris Simmons is saying. People got to act. People are sitting there, whatever. But Morris Simmons did say that everyone's talking, and he's correct. But this college football playoff format has to be figured out. And there has to be certainty. Not just the format, not just the number of teams that are going to make it, but the distribution model, how the distribution model would be affected with expansion, and all of that. Because all that's going to play a part in the economics of the Big Ten and the SEC expanding. So this has got to be figured out. I think a lot of reporters are going to be eating a lot of crow, or I think I don't want to go off on a rant, but I think what the reporters did with the Tony Petitti and the 24-28 team playoff format, and they just mocked him to death. Every single reporter. Reese Davis called it absurd. I have been pulling my hair out ever since that. And of course, Ross Dellinger is saying, well, the Southeastern Conference has been doing the same thing. I don't know why the Big Ten's it drove me nuts. It still drives me nuts. If you are Morris Simmons, if you are a Clemson fan, if you are a Florida State fan, if you are a North Carolina fan, if you are a Virginia fan, if you're Georgia Tech, if you're Duke, if you are a fan of a school that believes that school, Miami, if you believe that school has a shot to get to the Big Ten or the SEC, you want the discussions of a large college football playoff format to continue. You want these absurd Tony Petitti ideas to take fruit, to get traction. You want the Southeastern Conference to talk about a 32-team playoff. It's probably not going to be that high, guys, but you want this because that is the grease in the skids for playoff, for conference expansion. Not for contraction. That was the wrong word, Matt Hayes. It's consolidation. If you want the Southeastern Conference to actually bring on a football mega powerhouses in value of Clemson and Florida State, if you want the Southeastern Conference to actually add those two football programs to that conference, you want a larger college football playoff format, because if you do not get it, if you do not get the larger playoff format, the presidents, the athletic directors, and the coaches in the Southeastern Conference, they're not going to welcome in a Florida State and Clemson. They're not going to welcome in them. They're not. You want a larger playoff format. So it's good news. It's good news that the Southeastern Conference and the Big Ten have kicked around these larger playoff ideas. Not bad news. Again, I like Reese Davis, but when he went completely nutso and looked in the camera and said, it's absurd that Tony Petitti is talking about a 2018, where do you think this is all heading? This is all heading to larger conferences, economic consolidation. The Big 12 is going to grow too. The ACC might have to grow after the backfill. Just drove me nuts, man. Drove me absolutely nuts. Ryan, really, I do apologize. Thank you for your patience. The floor is yours.
Hey, Carl. I have a couple of things. What I get from an article is that the reporter is afraid that the Big Ten is passing the SEC in which conference is stronger. And that's why he wants to add Florida State and Clemson as soon as possible.
Yeah.
I believe that the Big Ten is stronger than the ACC, even though you disagree. But, Walter / Paul Feinbaum, Walter from the Jeff Dunham skit, the comedian, ventriloquist. They're all SEC. That's all you're going to hear. And I believe that the Big Ten will win 3 straight championships this year. So the other thing that I wanted to talk about was I was watching the show from the College Football Mafia last night on demand. And they said that, Mullen said that Alabama was Wisconsin was it was going to be a bloodbath. And I'm like, so I wrote in the comment underneath the show saying that I would also if they don't, if the, so I got two bets going on if Mullen wants to take it.
Okay.
If the Badgers cover, I will give 10 memberships if they don't cover, but if you do, you guys got to sing on Wisconsin.
Mullen's gonna sing on Wisconsin?
I don't know, but I gotta find out what he's willing to do.
Well, I will sing on Wisconsin if Wisconsin covers the spread. I don't know what the spread's gonna be. We'll figure it out next Monday. I will do it though. I will sing on Wisconsin. This Golden Gopher, this glorious Golden Gopher is gonna sing the evil Badger fight song on Wisconsin if the Badgers cover the spread against Bama.
Deal.
Got it.
All right.
Appreciate it, sir. Great call, my
man. All right, thank you.
You bet.
All right, bye.
By the way, no, I have not seen Preston from Greensboro, North Dakota. I have not seen Preston from North Carolina in the chat room since North Carolina got their hinges blown off by TCU. Hopefully he's okay. If somebody let him know that I did sing Carolina in My Mind by James Taylor. I did sing that right before kickoff of North Carolina TCU. So I did sing the song, and I thank him for his incredible generosity.
Call from
Rick.
Rick is on the line. The floor is yours. Thanks for calling, sir. I do appreciate it.
Well, thank you. I'm signing up. I'm signing up for Greg's Big Scoop.
You are?
Yeah. So it's a given. It's all over.
No, I'm not saying that.
No.
I'm not saying that. You are. Okay.
It's in 2027 or before. They'd probably announce it next year, 26. To move in 27. The 4 schools to the SEC. Okay, that's a done deal. Forget about it. Now we're talking Big Ten. And there has to be a response. There cannot be no response to that.
Yep.
The SEC at 18, Big Ten at 18. There's got to be a reply.
Yep.
And there are two avenues the Big Ten can go down. The avenue that includes Notre Dame and the avenue that doesn't include Notre Dame.
Yep.
And down those two avenues, there are probably two choices. Are you going to take 2 or are you going to take 4?
Most likely.
You can see a scenario where there'd be more than 4?
No.
Okay.
No. And I would no. Not at this time.
Okay.
Nope.
Okay, so it'd be 2 or 4.
I would think so.
Who are the 2 or 4 with Notre Dame, and who are the 2 or 4 without Notre Dame?
I would bring with Notre Dame. I think Stanford is a candidate. Without Notre Dame, I don't think Stanford's a candidate. So, and I think that's basically the only exception. The other schools in the mix would be Miami, Georgia Tech, Duke, Kansas, maybe even Utah. Yeah, I think that's it.
Do you see any?
I think the leading candidates would be Miami, Georgia Tech, and
Duke?
if I would have guessed right now, I think Georgia Tech would be a little bit ahead of Duke. In my April 9th prediction, I predicted the big scoop, the Southeastern Conference, and then I added on because the Big Ten would have to respond, and I added on that the 19th and 20th would be Miami, Notre Dame, and then we'll see what Then I'll wait on later for the if I have to add on another school or not. And I said at the time I got about a 1% chance of getting this correct. It's my prediction, not a report. And I still think it's probably really low, the percentage of this. But to answer your question right now, I would throw in Miami, Georgia Tech, Duke, Kansas, Utah, and I would throw Stanford in there if Notre Dame is definitely part of the equation. Stanford as a candidate.
And what do you figure the odds are on Notre Dame going to the Big Ten?
Well, I seem to be the only one in the country that thinks it's going to happen. So, I think at some point, I think
that would occur after the SEC's.
Yeah, I just think that the economics of consolidation is going to affect Notre Dame at some point. That is my belief. I'm going to stand on that business. I'm going to stick to that.
Yeah, because some people think they still might stand alone with the cheese. They're out on their own and figure out something else to do with their non-resident sports.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate you taking the call again. Thank you.
You got it, buddy. Appreciate it. Great call, sir.
Enjoy the show. Thank you.
Ryan Brooks, Greg, you need artwork showing Greg the predictor with a crystal ball and Greg the reporter with newspaper hat on. Maybe that would help people not misquoting you. I think people misquote me intentionally. Most people do. They're just looking to misquote. So there's not much I can, even with artwork, I don't think that's going to work. But I appreciate this suggestion, Ryan Brooks.
From
Christopher Hooter.
Christopher Hooter, thanks for calling. The floor is yours.
Conference expansion. It's just the gift that keeps giving. It's the most magnificent topic, right? And it just piques all our interest.
Yeah.
I don't know if the SEC is going to do anything that pushes Notre Dame to the Big Ten. In fact, I think they might just stand pat not to push Notre Dame to the Big Ten. I know you and I are kind of sold on UNC, but
I agree. I don't think the SEC wants to push Notre Dame into the Big Ten, and they've done a lot to help Notre Dame to keep that football independence status secured. But I think the natural growth of the Southeastern Conference, and I'm one who happens to think that the Southeastern Conference is going to grow, because of the economic of consolidation, I think that natural growth from the Southeastern Conference and the Big Ten, again, is going to create a situation for Notre Dame that they're going to have to make that choice. But I completely admit I have enough self-awareness to understand that I'm clearly in the minority on this. But I think at some point it's going to happen. But go ahead, sir.
Well, of course, they've been flirting with each other for decades, right? Maybe 100 years.
Yep.
You
The
would know.
door's never been slammed shut. It's always been a flirt. Yep.
And the last time we discussed this, you mentioned the stick and ball sports, right? And they need a landing spot for those, non-revenue sports, right? And basketball and things like that. So, so I'm just trying to think if if they take a big grab, if they go for 4, okay, and if the 4 are all ACC schools, like you're suggesting, UNC, maybe Duke or Virginia, whoever, Clemson, Florida State. That's kind of okay. We'll just go with that. So the SEC's at 20. Then the ACC really isn't viable at that point. I guess the Big Ten takes Notre Dame and Stanford, done, and everybody's at 20. But that pushed Notre Dame, right? That pushed Notre Dame to the Big Ten. If unless they all move at the same time. The other way is maybe the SEC only takes 2 from the ACC and it stays alive, and maybe if they want 2 more, they go to the Big 12. Kansas and Colorado, and I know that's a wild card, but anything to keep the ACC viable enough to keep Notre Dame from moving.
And there are people who believe that. There are people who still believe, and I'm not going to I'm not shutting the door on any possibility because nothing is done, nothing is settled. Nothing is done, guys. But there are people who believe, Christopher, that the ACC contraction is still alive, in which you get 6 or more ACC schools that create a one-sport conference, which would be football, and they bring up their own conference. You have possibly 8 ACC schools or maybe 6 ACC schools, and somehow you get a couple of Big 12 schools to join you, and you produce a separate football-only conference, and then the ACC schools that are in this one-sport conference have their Olympic sports still in the ACC conference, because remember, that was a part of the ACC settlement with Florida State, Clemson, and everybody. So there are people who
I forgot about that. I forgot about that.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a good point. I forgot all about that. That's a great point. And then that could keep hope alive, keep Notre Dame kind of put. And in that case, maybe everyone just stands put. Maybe this is all just talk, and nothing happens, right?
And there's a lot of talk going on. Yep.
I was as an LSU guy, an SEC guy, I was thrilled with the addition to 16 with the two we got. Yeah. Those are historic programs. I feel you. I get the expanding the footprint with North Carolina and UVA, but they that ain't Oklahoma and Texas, right? So, and even with A&M, already quote in Texas, right? They're still the Longhorns, right?
Yes.
I can't believe I'm tooting the Longhorns horn here.
Yeah.
And then for scheduling reasons. 16 teams works so perfect with 9 games.
Yes, it does.
And if you go to 18 or 20 or even 17, just so you add one, now you've got scheduling inequity, right? And we're in that conversation we had the other day. Right now, well, they didn't play each other because we only have maybe you got to go to 10 conference games. So there's a lot of advantages to staying at 16.
Yeah.
And, but I do think expansion is inevitable. I think it's going to happen. We'll see. I don't know. If I had to put money on the line, I don't know. I guess I'd say I'm like you. The SEC is going to 20 and Notre Dame's going to move.
I think so.
But so I'm kind of with you there.
Yeah.
So, But we'll see. We'll see how it plays out. I do like the wild card of the ACC kind of keeping the big football brands together. That's interesting.
Yep.
I'm glad you reminded me that.
Yep.
And the only other thing I'll add before we sign off, and remember I'm an LSU guy here, but we're all Bama's going to, they're going to bounce back. Everyone's, acting
We'll
like
see.
the run is over. I didn't think Bama was a playoff team, but they're still Bama. They still got lots of talent.
Sure.
They got lots of support.
Sure.
They're going to be okay.
Yep.
Wow, I can't believe I said that. Yeah. Okay. Anyway.
All right, Tiger.
Well, enjoyed the show.
Appreciate it.
All right, man. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Beautiful.
See you. Bye.
Thank you, Mr. Hooter. LSU Tiger, Christopher Hooter. We've got some very generous super chats here. Holy smokes. Amazing Blue, the Michigan Wolverine. Adding Florida State and Miami allows for Ohio State and Michigan not to always be on big noon for Fox and gives Fox more quality matches. Thank you for the $5 holler, Amazing Blue. I appreciate it. Appreciate it so very much. Michigan, Oklahoma. Amazing Blue is happy that I took the Sooners, and I think I gave 5.5. Did I give 5.5? What did I do? 6.5? What did I do? 5.5. Gave 5.5 points. The Sooners. John Mateer, who, by the way, has gone up to number 3 in our Heisman Watch. John Mateer, he's right behind Nussmeier for the number 2 spot. John Mateer, Oklahoma, and Michigan. I don't have Bryce Underwood on that list yet. I'm sure Amazing Blue wants me to put him on, but I'm not going to do it yet. Super chat. Fight on. Don't count out Larry Ellison and Paramount. I'm not sure what this was in regards to, but yeah, Paramount Plus, Skydance Global Paramount, I believe is the official name. Thank you, Fight On. I appreciate the super chat. Appreciate you $2 holler. Thank you very much. Big old super chat from Opie. When hearing Greg's singing voice, it's like hearing Smug the Dragon's voice from the Hobbit series. When you do hear it, you know you are in a world of trouble. Holy smokes. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. My singing voice is second to none. And you all should be very, very thankful that you get to listen to the golden pipes of the fat guy from Minnesota. Anyways, that is a reminder. Opie's reminding everybody. I am going to do the Kansas Jayhawks fight song live sometime during that Saturday. I don't know what we're going to do on Saturday yet. I don't know. I want to do the Oklahoma-Michigan game for a watch party, but I might have some scheduling issues. If I don't do that game, then I'm going to do the Illinois-Duke and maybe Kansas-Missouri. I don't know what we're going to do yet. I haven't figured it out, but whatever. At some point, I'm singing the Kansas Jayhawks fight song because Vox Quindaro has given so much to this program. He wants to hear me sing. Dante's Inferno wants to hear me sing. Maybe it's Larry Ellison's, one of the Ellisons the father Ellison or the son Ellison is ahead of Skydance Global Paramount. The son is. Okay. I can't keep it all track. All right, guys. I want to, first of all, I want to thank everybody who has donated to the program. Heartbreak 25, Ryan Willie, LA Horn Frog, Bill G, Expedition Greg, Ricky Tungate, Kerry Goldnose, Christopher Hooter, Amazing Blue, Fidon, and Opie. Thank you guys for your donations. Thank you for helping us grow the channel, keeping the lights on. I'm so thankful. I'm so humbled for your donation, for your hard-earned money. I appreciate it so very much. I want to thank the phone calls, everybody who's dropped in a comment. Incredible comments in the comments section. There is no other there is no college football community like this community. There isn't. There just isn't. So thank you. I'm very humbled that you've become part of the family. If you want to be part of the family, if you want to, then please subscribe to our channel. Turn on the notifications because we can come on live at any time. We can come on live in the morning, at noon, at night, midnight. We've done it all before. So when you subscribe to our National College Football channel, you've got to turn on the notifications. You've got to. And of course, before you leave, smash the like button if you've liked our content. If you did not like our content today, smash the thumbs down button. It also helps us with YouTube algorithm. Thumbs up, thumbs down, just smash away. Okay, we are going to be seeing you tomorrow. We are going to be doing a live show. We at PATC, we're working on a couple of stories, but, you know, we got to make sure they're good to go. Make sure I'm not burning any bridges. I want to harvest the field over and over and over again. So keep your head on a swivel. Buckle up, brace for impact. Until next time, from all of us at PATC, to all of you, please you all take great care of each other. And as always, God, family, Golden Gophers.